Stop right there. Deadpool?
Deadpool? What? I'm not Deadpool.
Deadpool and Deathstroke's names are a little bit the same because they both say dead, like Deadpool, Deathstroke. Cause sword, gun.
Why does everybody think I'm Deadpool?
You got them guns.
And the swords.
Yeah, well, lots of people have guns and swords, okay?
What do you think about their costumes? Do you think they look the same?
Nah.
Deadpool. He's the merc with a mouth. Marvel's comic-aware goofball and has the highest grossing R-rated film in history. On top of all that, he could also be a ripoff. Welcome to the Review Desk. I'm Desmond Kerk, and today we'll discuss Deadpool's status as an original character. Everybody knows Deadpool. You know Deadpool. Your friends know Deadpool. And you're probably thinking, you know who else?
My mom!
You know someone's popular when your mom's heard of them. But despite his fame, Deadpool has often been accused of being a ripoff of another comic book character from Marvel's biggest rival, DC Comics, Deathstroke, a major villain who debuted in December of 1980, a full 10 years before Deadpool.
By the way, he should be saying that he's not me, okay? Because I came out like way before he did.
Look into the camera and say something.
No, you definitely said something to that camera over there. See, you think you Deadpool.
Oh, I'm not Deadpool.
Many fan theories arose, like Deadpool's name even being based on Deathstroke. Dead is linked to death, and you take a stroke in the pool. According to Rob Liefeld, that's not true. Who is Rob Liefeld, you say? He's the co-creator of Deadpool. He has a blink and you'll miss it cameo in the first Deadpool movie. In the second one, there's a joke about his drawing skills.
What coked out, glass pipe sucking freak show comic book artist came up with that little chestnut? Probably a guy who can't draw feet!
Deadpool and Wolverine doubles down on this joke with a funny sign, poking even more fun at the comic book artist's shortcomings. But Liefeld is also responsible for the second best-selling comic book of all time, X-Force #1. Nope, not that X-Force, this X-Force, which sold 5 million copies on the heels of Liefeld's work on New Mutants, the book where Deadpool was first introduced. So why is Deadpool considered a ripoff of Deathstroke? Because their stories sound somewhat the same. A former soldier volunteers for a secret experiment which doesn't go exactly according to plan, leaving him with enhanced abilities but damage to his mental state. He favors using said abilities in conjunction with bladed weapons in a crusade against a major team of teenage superheroes. That's a little too coincidental. But to be fair, they're both cast in the mold of an existing stock character, one who usually has some sort of death, kill, dead, die, shot, noun, or adjective in their nom de guerre.
Okay, just so we're clear, from this point forward, my call sign will be Deathblade.
There's Deathstroke, Deathstrike, Deadpool, Deadshot, Bloodshot, one of the more lazy entries. The 90s went crazy with the trope introducing characters like Deathblow, Killraiser. I think I owe Bloodshot an apology. Over at Wildstorm, there's Deathtrap. He was actually pretty cool since he had psionic powers that allowed him to telekinetically construct guns, much like how Psylocke makes blades. Wildstorm even made fun of the trope when Deathblow is introduced to Ladytron, who wonders what's the deal with all the post-mortem themed codenames. They piled on even more with a character named, I kid you not, Rip/Blood Claw Mainblade. The main characters even joke that his name is missing a death or kill. There's Deathshield, trained by Taskmaster to be an evil counterpart to Captain America. There's Kilgore, but he's in a whole different category of ripoffs, the Wolverine wannabes. And there were many of those. Liefeld was even responsible for a few, like Wildside and Bloodwolf. Dear Bloodshot, please accept this formal apology. So, how does DC Comics feel about this? Well, they've poked fun at the matter by creating their own slew of Deadpool parodies. There's Deathmask, who's as mentally unstable as Deadpool, to the point he dresses as Harley Quinn during virtual meetings. His mask also sports that same annoying nipple as Deadpool. Can we get rid of the nipple, please? Can we go back to pre-nipple Deadpool? Free the nipple! But my personal favorite DC Deadpool variant is the Merc with no name. In Superman Batman Annual Issue 1, Deathstroke is contracted to kill Bruce Wayne. The whole thing coincides with an interdimensional incursion from Ultraman and Owlman, evil counterparts of Superman and Batman respectively. A stowaway from the universe is, well, every time he tries to tell us his name, he's hilariously interrupted, usually fatally. But there are several clues he's a nod to Deadpool. He's repeatedly mutilated but heals every time, has a preference for katanas, and he's very, very chatty. He causes Deathstroke more than a little frustration when he's revealed to be an alternate universe version of the Terminator himself. There's Red Tool, a very on-the-nose version who, appropriate for his theme, has custom speech bubbles shaped like tools, and his real name, Wayne Wilkins. A less humorous reply to the matter came from Deathstroke co-creator Marv Wolfman. While he never officially responded to the allegations, Wolfman created a character in 1994 named Wade Lafarge, Deathstroke's half-brother who always felt inferior to Slade and became obsessed with destroying him. In the comics, Deadpool is famous for his unique yellow speech bubbles. In his earliest appearance, the bubbles were white with a red stroke around them. Stroke, see what I did there? The stroke would later turn yellow, and eventually that became the color of the speech bubbles themselves. Lafarge wore a mask to alter his voice, and this was depicted with speech bubbles that had a red stroke. Judging by the sick burn Kid Flash gave Lafarge, it's safe to assume that Wolfman was not all too impressed by the alleged knockoff. But back to Deadpool. Is he just an innocent stocky being wrongfully accused? Well, as I pointed out before, there's more to it than just their type. Before the Weapon X incident, Wade Wilson was blonde. While Deathstroke is famous for rocking white hair, this was a result of the experiments he was subjected to, as Slade himself was also blonde before. His daughter Rose inherited his white hair, but that, along with her powers, is a result of her father's enhanced blood running through her veins. She's also got the same abilities as Taskmaster, being able to copy any physical action she sees. Imagine the possibilities. Down, boy. There's more coincidences. Deathstroke debuted in New Teen Titans. Deadpool debuted in New Mutants. Look at their civilian names. Deathstroke's real name is Slade Wilson. Deadpool's real name is Wade Wilson. That's gotta be on purpose, right? It was, by none other than acclaimed Marvel writer Fabian Nicieza. Side note, I love Nicieza. He's partly responsible for some of the greatest Marvel stories ever, including The Age of Apocalypse. When working on New Mutants, Liefeld sent the first designs for a new character to Nicieza with the name Deadpool. According to Nicieza himself, he called Liefeld and said, "This is Deathstroke from the Teen Titans." This particular story has often been misquoted, misrepresented, and outright misconstrued into something entirely different. Many sites claim that Liefeld and Nicieza intentionally created Deadpool to be either a homage or parody of Deathstroke. Nicieza himself, however, has repeatedly debunked this.
Get your spectral sock out, nerds. This gonna get good.
So, talking about X-Force, obviously, New Mutants introduced Deadpool. I read this recently. He's an homage to the character Deathstroke, as the often quote goes, "You do the Deathstroke in the Deadpool," to the point where even writer Fabian Nicieza acknowledged it. He wrote to Liefeld, "This is Deathstroke from Teen Titans." He even named the character Wade Wilson as an acknowledgement. Is that the? Give us the origins.
I don't know where
Deadpool.
you're reading that from. But that's a bastardization of anything I've ever said or the real truth, okay? The character was never created to be an homage of Deathstroke.
Okay.
He was never created to be a parody.
Yes, let this man cook.
Rob was definitely channeling a love of George Perez when he was doing aspects of that character design, and that's what I was joking with him about.
It should be noted that around this time, Liefeld had been established as a fan of the Teen Titans comics for quite some time, which is strong evidence of him indeed copying the character. For DC's 2011 New 52 relaunch, Liefeld got the chance to finally write and draw the menacing Deathstroke, but having a shot at his lifelong dream brought back accusation of plagiarism, especially after his interview with Comic Book Resources for the new title. In the interview, Liefeld said on record, "I've always been in awe of Hawkman and Deathstroke, and always means since I was a child."
Look, I love Deathstroke. I've loved Deathstroke my entire comic book collecting career. He's a great character. Yep. He deserves to be loved on his own merits.
You're digging a hole deeper, Rob.
We don't know that guy.
We thought we did.
However, it was Nicieza who gave the Deadpool character his civilian identity of Wade Wilson, as an inside joke of him being distantly related to Slade Wilson.
And I named him Wade Wilson as a civilian identity as nothing more than an in-joke between me and Rob for me having joked about the George Perez costume and pouches. I never said anything about that publicly for 15 years, okay? Until I said it in an interview years later that I named him Wade Wilson as an in-joke between me and Rob because of the George Perez Deathstroke love.
So, what does Liefeld himself have to say about it?
And there are people, you know who you are, internet people, DC bros, who are out there going, but Deadpool is a Deathstroke! And you're wrong, and I'm gonna show you why. You'll see how thick and meaty and broad Deathstroke was.
Phrasing?
Deadpool came in and he was kind of a thinner, more lithe, more of a martial arts ninja guy. Deathstroke has chainmail all along his costume. There is no chainmail anywhere on Deadpool. Number two, and it might not be as obvious as it seems to me, but Deathstroke is blue and orange. And the last time I looked, Deadpool is black and red. Black and red do not equal blue and orange. Dead in the name is not enough to qualify. There's Deathlock, there's Deadshot. Let's not go there. I don't see it. I don't see it. I never have. So DC bros, I just came at you, okay?
Not making a very strong case there, Bob. I mean, a ripoff doesn't have to look exactly like the original for it to be a ripoff. But in Rob's defense, he does go on to make some stronger arguments. Liefeld was a huge fan of both Spider-Man and Wolverine. But in the 80s and 90s, titles with either an X or a spider in the title were considered top tier down at Marvel, and not just anybody was allowed to write them. And protocol was kind of strict on which characters you were allowed to use. For example, Chris Claremont, probably the most famous X-Men writer ever, wanted the demon Nightmare to be the father of Nightcrawler. He wasn't allowed to use Nightmare, however, because he was a Doctor Strange villain. The same rules applied to Liefeld, who wasn't allowed to randomly feature Spidey and Wolverine in his comics. According to the artist, he came up with alternatives. Cable, who just like Wolverine was a stoic, no-nonsense anti-hero, and Deadpool, who was agile, thin, and annoyingly chatty like Spider-Man. He did give them some unique traits to separate them from their progenitors. Guns. Lots of guns.
Let me tell you how it went. Hey guys, Todd McFarlane is kind of blown up on Spider-Man. I need a Spider-Man in my book. Are we clear? Okay.
The character was designed to be a combination of Spider-Man and Punisher. Rob wanted a thin character who could bounce around Cable and fight in a different way and had big guns and knives and swords.
I also like Wolverine. He's my favorite character. Can I tie him into Wolverine's origin? So can I do Spider-Man with guns and knives? Whatever you want to do, Liefeld. Yeah!
As a matter of fact, Marvel cleverly alluded to this history in Ultimate X-Men issue 75, where Cable is revealed to be a time-traveling Wolverine from the future. Liefeld states that he was often goaded by Todd McFarlane over the fact that he had to repeatedly draw complex faces, while McFarlane, who was providing art for The Amazing Spider-Man, got away with quickly drawing a mask for the main character. This inspired Liefeld to make one of his characters a masked figure, basically Spider-Man with katanas and guns. And if you look at some art, like the cover of Amazing Spider-Man 214, Deadpool's mask does kind of look like Spider-Man when he's squinting. Deadpool has even at times been mistaken for the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
This thing only goes to 11. So beat it, Spider-Man.
God, I should have asked NSYNC.
That's how it went according to Rob. And to be honest, I believe him. Why? It's simple. If he can admit that Deadpool was based off another character, he wouldn't need to lie about which character it was. Especially since, as Nicieza pointed out, Deathstroke can easily be called a copy of a pre-existing Marvel character, Taskmaster. Think about it. Blue and orange color scheme, swashbuckler style boots, a preference for bladed weapons, both European themed as opposed to Deadpool's Japanese katanas, and they're both highly in-demand assassins for hire. The reason they're so similar? Both were designed by late artist George Perez. But there are also enough differences between them, which is probably why Deathstroke's never been called a Taskmaster ripoff. So if Liefeld lied about ripping off Deathstroke, he would have lied about ripping off Spider-Man and claimed that Deadpool was an entirely original character. There is one DC character that has much more in common with Deadpool than even Deathstroke does: Ambush Bug. When Joe Kelly wrote Deadpool's ongoing series, he decided to flesh out the character. Deadpool breaking the fourth wall, his incessant bantering, most of his cast of supporting characters like Blind Al, Weasel. We have Joe Kelly to thank for all that. It was his writing that helped turn Deadpool into the wacky, surreal character we know and love today. And here's the similarities between Deadpool and Ambush Bug. They both know they're in a comic and repeatedly break the fourth wall. They're both comic relief characters, both possess a personal teleportation device, and both annoy the heck out of A-list heroes. So, while there might have been seeds of Deathstroke sown to plant the idea of Deadpool, he grew into his own man, one with his own personality, convictions, and adventures. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. What does the character bring to the table on their own? And Deadpool brings plenty. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.